All right, we are live on Trucker Talk, sponsored by Market Express. I'm Roy Bain. You see Mike Olson in the middle and Nick Campos on the side. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
So we're holding Mike up tonight. He's getting ready to take off on vacation, so we're making him stay a little longer today to hang out with us. So we're going to kick it off with Mike Olson today and let him get started, and he's just going to pick on me, and that's fine. So we'll let him talk about his weekly safety brief here.
Yeah, well, we should be talking about scaling all loads, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but we're not going to do that. But
okay.
So our safety topic of the month is really kind of defining the use of a mobile cell phone. So I'm going to read a statement here that Jay up in Puyallup kicked out to everybody. It says, the use of a handheld device means using at least one hand to hold a cell phone to make a call, dialing a cell phone by pressing more than a single button, or reaching for a cell phone in a manner that requires a driver to maneuver so that he or she is no longer in a seated driving position, restrained by a seatbelt. Remember, think twice before using your device. Use approved Bluetooth devices to avoid incidents on the roadways and yards. This is a big one everywhere, especially in the state of Washington. They're pretty astute at spying in on trucks from overpasses and whatnot. And if you're reaching for your cell phone, you're going to get lit up and you're going to get pulled over. So keep those things tucked away. Use your Bluetooth devices. Be safe.
And Jeff Forrest said to tell you, Mike, that he do not get a vacation. It is denied.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. I'll take it under advisement.
Yeah. So, well, and what Mike was talking about with scaling the loads, I'm going to have to tell you, we talk about on this show often. So I'm going to be the brunt of the joke, and that's fine and dandy. We all out here have a tendency to make a mistake, especially when you're under pressure to get somewhere or whatever. This past week, I took it upon myself. I looked at the bill of lading. It said 38,000 pounds, looked at how it was loaded, slid my tandems all the way forward, took off thinking it was all good because it was a big crisis to hurry up and get there. The load was late. Somebody didn't take the time to pull into the truck stop and scale. $305 later, well, here we are. We all do something stupid, and it's always when you rush. Don't let anything get you in a rush because, hey, we're not perfect. None of us are perfect. We make mistakes. And it always seems to be one of those situations when you're in a hurry where you make that mistake. Don't. I had a safety guy one time tell me, don't drive under the influence of others. So keep that in mind. And that's Nick turned his camera off. I gotta say, hang his head in shame and make fun of me for a moment there in private. So yes, we all make mistakes. I'm not ever claiming to be perfect. Never will claim to be perfect on here. Just and like I said, just don't drive under the influence of others. When you do that, you have a tendency to mess up, and that seems to be when it always is. And that it doesn't take but one little thing to mess up your whole trip. And well, been there, done that last week.
Just having fun with you, Roy.
Oh, it's a learning, teachable moment right here. Don't do it. It doesn't matter how long. First overweight ticket in 8 years, and it sucked. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
So, Nick, we talked earlier about doing some stuff here, and we're going to get Mike involved in the discussion today since he's always so quiet. Everybody's seen the news for the last week. We've seen what's going on. We have a war going on in Ukraine. So without delving off too deep into it, what do you expect in the foreseeable future in the trucking industry and how it's going to affect it? I see a couple of things right off, but I know one of the things was discussed while I was in the office today. What do you see as in the executive side of it there, Nick?
Well, the Ukraine is, in Russia for even that matter, is a very small part of the U.S. import-export from populace from a macroeconomic standpoint. Is it a significant geopolitical event? Absolutely. Is it a significant humanitarian event? Also, absolutely. Does it stand to have a great deal of influence on U.S. companies? Well, probably only if you're doing a significant business in Ukraine. I know the big news is Landstar has a very large freight brokerage group. I think it's their first and one of their biggest and one of their top 5 or something like that. Largest branches are in the Ukraine, and they anticipate that those being shut down is leading to what they anticipate may be $100 million loss for the month. So certain businesses may have a unique individual impact based on their use of the Ukraine. Ukraine's a Eastern European technology hotbed, so a lot of companies do IT and that type of work, coding out of the Ukraine. So a lot of very intelligent, capable technology people out there that probably won't be as functional, or certainly won't be as functional as they have been in the past. So those have microeconomic impacts on individual organizations. On transportation as it exists today, transportation is still robust, although we're seeing some signs of cracking within the marketplace. The consumer demand is not quite as robust as it was in 2021, as we're seeing it play out. As the Ukraine and Russia impact financial markets, it may mean less available capital for people to consume. And as we know, the economy is, by its very definition, is how people feel about the world around them. People spend money when they feel that times are going to be good. They stop spending money when they feel times are going to be bad. So if people start feeling, as a result of financial market challenges and fear of what's to come, to not spend or to save, to prepare to not travel as much, it will have economic impact, which could lead to recessionary pressures. Not saying that will go recessionary, but those are possible. The trucking industry is pretty well protected in that a lot of the larger fleets got smaller over these past couple of years just as a result of the pandemic, and that scattered out a lot of trucking companies. It actually has created a vast network of new entrants into the owner-operator space with their own authority, and who operate specifically and completely off of the broker boards. So as shippers, let's say a shipper normally during pandemic highs send out 100 shipments a day, and they used to send out 70. Well, it's likely that the big carriers that they're doing business with are now only taking 60 of their loads rather than 70, just due to shrinking fleet counts, and 40 of those loads, let's say, are going out on brokerage. Well, in times of contraction, what you see is the broker business dry up, and now maybe they go back to 70, and 60 of them are going on those larger fleets, and 10 to the brokers, and then eventually the larger fleets get a little larger, and then they gobble up that last 10, and then the people who are out there are the ones that are out on their own authority. So those are the kind of impacts, if you're a truck driver, that you should be considering, with the marketplace an all-time high for used trucks and things like that, planning your launch if you were to do that. And then also where you're sitting, you want to make sure you're sitting in a type of routing, a type of environment where you have a lot of predictability and a lot of consistency, because those are going to be the things that, if a recessionary pressure does occur, those are going to be the most insulated, most protected. If the Ukraine situation does move us towards recessionary pressure. So that'd be my overall take on what we're seeing.
Yeah. Well, I lost my dang service there for just a second. But anyway, one of the things that I've noticed already, and we're already seeing it, is diesel fuel prices. And I heard them talking in there that they expect it to go up again tomorrow. We bring in so many, I think, what did I see, 680 million barrels of oil, or 280 million barrels of oil a day from Russia or something like that. if we're putting a bind on them, that's going to affect oil coming in. I noticed they said they're going to release 60 million barrels from strategic reserves. Well, 60 and 280 is not even in the ballpark. That's just putting a piece of bubble gum on the crack in the dam, in my opinion. But what do you see? How do you see the prices going as far as all of this stuff goes? I mean, when I was in California this week at Lodi, it was $5.30 a gallon on the sign.
Well, yeah, retail pressures on oil. Well, these are oil producing countries. Ukraine's also well known for, it's like a bread basket of different commodities. There's a lot of stuff that comes out of the Ukraine in that regard. So it's not the only thing impacted. We think it's bad in the U.S. Most of Western Europe's oil and natural gas comes from the pipelines from Russia. So there's they have the potential for some severe challenges as a result of this. And sanctions are none. That's a problem. America does have the ability to become energy independent, which other countries do not. Anybody who's born in this country and has the privilege of waking up in a day, every resource that we've got all the resources here. So in different geographies, and it's just a matter of whether we tap them and touch them. So fortunately for our administration and for all of us, we have the ability to pull oil from our country. If we had the Keystone Pipeline, it'd be even easier. I think this would be less of a geopolitical issue if that was running and functionally and properly. But that's what it is. Those are decisions before that are leading to the situation that we have currently. But yeah, I do expect oil prices to come up some more, and then I anticipate that OPEC will do something to increase supply and neutralize pricing before it skyrockets. I would note that oil prices are typical indicators of recession. The oil prices have increasing oil prices have been an indicator in just about every recession we've had as a country. The spike, it usually slows the economy. So it's just something that you watch.
Yeah. George Dippolito says, what you talking about, Nick and Olson? So there you go. George is watching in, so I have to acknowledge him. So I want to talk about a couple of things that I saw in the news today and yesterday, and over the period out of this. Facebook's been blowing up. If you don't know who Richard Childress is, Richard Childress owned Dale Earnhardt's race car, the famous number 3, has a few other teams in NASCAR now. He just vowed today to send 1 million rounds of 7.62 millimeter ammunition to Ukraine to help them out. And I would say that was pretty cool seeing that. I'm not keeping up with all the hacker stuff and all that stuff, but you saw one of the hacker collectives in America is attacking Russia and hacking their stuff, playing Ukrainian music over their TV stations and all that stuff. I think that's actually the things that we're seeing is really cool. But I want to point out too that you have President Zelensky over in Ukraine. For the first time in a very long time, we're actually seeing a world leader step up and do that stuff. I mean, a lot of people don't pay that much attention. That guy is a comedian by trade and got elected as president of that. And now you see this guy's leading this country and people standing up for him. And I have to say, it is refreshing to see a world leader have that kind of backing and that kind of support, not only from his people, but look at the people that in America that are doing stuff to help out and stuff like that. I think, me personally, watching that is so cool to see, and it's refreshing to see at that time. I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on that, but I think it's very, very cool.
He's got guts, that's for sure.
Yes. And it's yeah. Well, yeah, my internet is just doing really weird stuff today for some site. Gordon Lee Pete, will rates begin to reflect current fuel prices, or are we going to pack up and head to the poorhouse together?
If you are moving business that is normal contractual rates, that will move. Fuel surcharge will move with it. So you'll move right along with it, and it won't be impactful. Broker board freight has a tendency to not move with fuel. So what was $4,500 flat rate through a freight broker is still going to be $4,500 flat rate with a freight broker. So those are the ones that end up getting hit. But for you, Gordy, you'll be just fine. Your freight rates will increase and to accommodate with that as customer rates move along with the fuel surcharge and all of our fuel surcharges are, West Coast. So we keep in the fact of with the moving and escalating rates. We also buy pretty well. So
I want to get into, I notice and I pay attention to stuff going on through LinkedIn and stuff like that. I see Market Express is doing some expansion, and I've heard some things through the grapevine. Do you have anything to talk about with the expansion with Market Express right now, Nick?
Well, most of it's network adjustments. We're trying to spend a lot of time listening to drivers, finding our right freight lanes that make sense for us, that are the most profitable and do the best for our guys. So I think we're seeing a lot of good movements and a lot of good changes that are going to be helpful and impactful for everybody. Increasing some length of haul, improving some of the freight characteristics. All good things designed to help both company drivers and owner operators alike as they run up and down our network.
Well, I hear rumors of moving more towards 11 Western Vice I-5. Is that kind of what you're talking about, or do you not want to share stuff right at this time? Or
well, no more. We've always been, not always, but for many years now, we've been Western 11. We do a lot of work into that. We find that 10 months out of the year is pretty good freight that drivers love, that drivers like to do. A lot of miles in between. So we're keeping our focus on that business and how we do it. A lot of the stuff I'm referring to is West Coast based, and some of the changes we're making to that network, and where we go and how we go there, and where we drop, where we pick, that kind of stuff. Those are the changes we're making, mainly along the Western U.S. So it's all good stuff, and I think every one of our drivers who will be in it is going to like the result.
Yeah. Well, Morton says Mama needs new shoes, and she's got some big damn feet. George DiPolito spoke up and said, when are we going to be getting some more trailers? I think I know a little bit of that answer, but I'll let you go ahead.
Well, we are moving some back into the area. They go back and forth. In fact, George should know this. We got to just move 10 up from that area back up to Portland. So we have a lot of trailers. We have with our purchase in 2021, we've increased even more, and we have more on order. We'll have some more coming in May yet again. So, but we want to get better utilization out of the trailers we have, and make sure they're in the right places that they need to be to pick up the next load. So George does a lot of heavy haul work. So heavy haul does have its own trailer pool commitments, but those trailers will be coming in May.
All right. So I want to ask a question as a driver of the company to you, because we do a lot of, for people that don't know, people that might be watching from the outside, we have 14-foot trailers to accommodate a lot of our paper hauls. I have to ask this question. Why are they all spring ride?
It's the nature of where the business is going, like where the nature of trailer manufacturing is going. Pretty much everything's going spring ride. It started with Schneider back, I don't know, probably 15 years ago, because all these customers were air ride only, air ride only, air ride only. And so Schneider started to spend a bunch of money and do a bunch of research, and they found that there's no real difference from freight characteristics on spring ride versus air ride. But spring ride's a lot more economical at purchase, and they hold up better over time. So you have far less trailer repairs over air rides. So spring rides become kind of the market leader in trailers of choice outside of reefers. Reefers continue to rely more on air ride.
I just ask you because as a driver, it sure hurts when you hit the big bumps in California these days. So we'll just leave it at that. Somebody asked, how many trailers does Market Express have? And I don't know. That is actually a good question, because I know somebody said at one time, when you have a company that does a lot of drop and hook and things like that, your average goal is 3 trailers for every power unit is a good ratio. So I would ask that question.
It really depends on the type of work, right? If you're going over the road heavily on long haul, that kind of stuff, I've seen carriers get down as low as 1.7, 1.6. We're higher than that significantly, and that's because of the size of our regional fleet, the amount of freight we do within the regional Northwest, regional Denver, regional LA, NorCal. So with that kind of specialty account, dedicated account, a lot of times it requires more trailers. So, we're higher than that, but yeah, there's no real exact number to it. It's based on what kind of freight mix that, that a company handles.
Okay. Well, that was I asked because I didn't know what model you use for it. I figured we'd be at least 2 to 1. Because we do have a lot of drop and hook, and we're all kind of the same stuff. But I also know that we brought the Denver fleet in and things like that, and that affected a lot of stuff. So I didn't quite.
We're over 2 to 1.
Yeah. Well, and Nick, can you explain to people all that? Because I can explain it, but it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. Why we're saying 1.7, 2.1, why you would need that for anybody that doesn't know.
Why we needed a pool requirement?
Uh-huh.
Well, mainly it's for ease of transportation. Having a pool allows us to take advantage of the benefits of not being live unload. A lot of time when customer can't take a piece of freight right when we want to take it, then we have the ability to sit it there and deliver at a different time. OS&D, preloads over the weekends, like weekend stuff. That's the whole reason for trailers. It's a necessary evil, but but it is very necessary. Otherwise, it's just absolutely very, very difficult. I remember us when we first got started, and we just had a few trucks. You remember it too, Roy. Like, you gotta have we gotta deal with it until that trailer gets empty. So. It's misery. So it's nice to have a few extra that you can work with.
Right. And for people that don't follow, and everybody asks about the supply chain and things like this. And I mean, we pick up a load in LA that comes up here. We get to Portland in roughly 2 days. It takes about 48 hours for a driver to load in LA and make it to Portland, because you have to take 2 10-hour breaks. You can't make it. It's just outside that stuff. So you have to stop twice. So they plan the delivery for usually 4.5 to 5 days, somewhere in there. So you get up here at 2, the trailer's loaded. Well, the driver doesn't want to have to set for the next 2.5 days to deliver. And a lot of that is based on the warehouse when they want it in to fill up their stocks and things like that. So we have extra trailers so we can drop one here, go get another when the driver can continue to work. Having the 2 point, whatever he said, to 3 trailers per every truck, that gives a driver plenty of time to do whatever and have freight there. The only thing is you have to make sure you have a local fleet that can deliver it, or drivers to pick up on the back end when you leave the trailer set. So it's a balancing act for everybody. And that's what we talk about with operations and all this stuff. And that's for everybody to know. That's how we all work together in this group. So for people that don't know the trucking industry, that's why I want to make sure we talk about that. So, and Gordon says, how many dispatchers per driver does the company has? Because I got 3 per week, and more often than not. They don't know what page Monday's on, and come Wednesday, we're all That is a good question. And Gordon, I'm going to step up and do this and say this, that trucking is not ever going to be perfect. Yeah, I'm going to stand up and say this. And going into the weekends, everything happens Monday morning. We ran into that this Monday morning. Everything happens Monday morning, and there's a lot of fires to put out come Monday morning. So it's a skeleton crew on the weekend, because just like you needing a 34-hour break, people in the office need a break as well. So I don't know. I have 2 dispatchers that I work with during the week. And on the weekends, I just plan out to make sure I don't have to deal with the dispatcher over the weekend. That's me personally.
Yeah, that's always the goal. Try to get as much done on Friday as possible. If something does pop up on the weekend, it should hopefully be the exception. But there's always somebody there 24/7. There's always somebody there available to help sort it out. But you get your best results Monday through Friday in terms of anything. There's just more continuity to it. So I always encourage that. But we'll always be there and we'll always respond. And if there's issues that happen over the weekend when they're coming up and they don't catch something quite the same way the weekday a person would, then we want to work with that person and use it as an opportunity to train.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to get into something too, because we had a meeting with Nick. Me and a couple of other drivers had a meeting with Nick on Friday. We're not going to get into the specifics, but one of the things that we've all noticed, and if you're around the trucking industry, so I want to get Nick's take on his side of it with dealing with it. Every driver has that one thing or that one or two things that just really gets under their skin, and it's always a little bit different for each driver. I mean, something that I think is no big deal, and I'm just going to use Gordon for example, it may just flat piss him off. It could be, I'm telling you, it could be the littlest thing. How do y'all deal with that in learning the drivers and all the little ticks? Because that's got to be the toughest thing in the world. I got to tell you, I don't want to be on that side of it.
It's a balancing act. It's really getting to know your driver, but it is, every driver has got his own little hot buttons. It's probably the biggest challenge in the industry, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, I've had several dispatchers throughout my career, and there seems to be a trait in dispatchers. If you're listening to what I'm fixing to say, the difference between a really good dispatcher and a really crappy dispatcher is that really good dispatcher knows those hot buttons and knows how to turn them on the driver to get them to do just that one extra turn or that one extra little thing. You know what I'm saying? And I had one at Indian River that he could talk you into taking another load even if you didn't want to. He's just that good at it, getting to know people. And he spent time to get to know you. And then there's other ones that, man, they want 2 seconds on the phone with you and out the door. And that's, to me, that's kind of that's a catch-22. And I don't know, have y'all seen that in y'all's supervisory roles and things like that as well?
Mm-hmm. Some guys need a little bit of hand holding. Some guys don't.
Yep.
They're all different.
There's no such thing as a Monday when you run 24/7, 365 industry. I'm no stranger to this game. It's not rocket surgery. I've never heard that one. Yeah, I'm with you. Plan things accordingly. Y'all know we got 70 hours to play in traffic. Keep a load on my back. The only question should be, when do you want to reset? Now, see, Gordon, that is a good example, and I'm going to tell you right now, I stick to 8 3/4. I don't necessarily need to take a 34-hour reset because I try to maintain it to where I can drive every day, but there are days that I like to stop and do things on the side. I got a race car. I got a wife. Got lots of times to do things, and that's, like I said, that's getting to know drivers and getting to know the people that you work with and let them know ahead of time. Just like I said, don't tell people on Thursday when you're in LA that you want to be home in Oregon on Friday morning, because, well, it's just not going to happen. You got to make sure you tell them 4 or 5 days in advance, because it's planning things out. And Gordon, that's a good point of what you said. And Heidi commented, Roy and Gordon are both deal with me. So, yeah. Gordon, we got the same one. George DiPolito said, everyone knows me. Yes, George, I know you very well. I haven't met you, but I know you, and I know what upsets you is having a garbage can. I know that. I remember you very well because of the garbage can discussion and getting a dumpster at, I think, Millersburg. So, and I noticed you had one the last time I was there. So thank you. So anything you guys want to add to it other than have a good flight there, Nick or Mike?
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike, and a happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How old are you? 85?
pretty close. That's what my doctor says.
I said it this morning to him, he's a team truck, so he ages different than a normal person. A little harder miles. Dan said it's mostly city miles
Russ Lindley says happy birthday, Mike. I'll say happy birthday, Mike.
Thank you.
All that good stuff.
Thank you.
I got a wife, a daughter, and a Harley, a hot rod. I come out to play for 3 weeks at a whack. I want to maximize my 3 weeks out and go home for a week with no regrets. That is a perfect plan, Gordon. I want to stay out that long. I'm not that dedicated. I have to admit, I'm just not that dedicated. I used to be, but I'm not now. So, but thanks everybody for tuning in. On my personal page, if y'all aren't friends with me, add me as a friend. We are going to be doing another little show at 6:00 tonight. I want to point that out with Ed Renzi, the CEO of McDonald's. He's going to come on tonight and talk. He wants to start a new deal with everybody. He's all about helping and giving back to people because he had people mentor him all through his career, and he wants y'all to join in. Ask questions. He wants to help people to be more successful and do things. This guy's got a wealth of knowledge and can do you all that stuff. You're welcome, George. I appreciate it. It's fun times, man. I like doing this stuff. So, but yeah, we're going to be back at 6 with on my personal page with Ed Renzi. I guarantee you will want to tune in for that one because he's always got a lot to say. If you haven't been around him or heard him, he's always got something to say. So, all right, thanks, guys, and we'll see. Mike, you back next week?
Yes, I am. Yeah, Tuesday.
Oh, we're going to have Tracy on next week. Never mind. We're Nick and Tracy on next week. So
perfect.
So, all right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, thanks, Roy.